everybody. Welcome to the Side of Sauce podcast, a podcast where we talk and you listen. I finally have a quip for it. But today, I'm actually joined by three guests this time instead of two, and they are three completely brand new different ones. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hey, I'm Johnny. I'm 21 years old, and I've known James for several years now. It's been a minute.
Dude, it actually has
Like what, 2015? 16?
something like that, yeah.
Long time.
Long time.
Hey, I'm Scully.
Hey, Scully.
I love that killer intro, by the way.
Thank you.
Hey, people listening. I'm Gabe. I've also been a longtime friend of James. I'm 18, and I'm here to have a ball. Share some conversation and good heart, and yeah, let's get it.
All right. So, first thing I want to talk about is we've recently been getting into this game. I don't know how long we're going to talk about this for a bit, but
Oh
the
no.
first thing I want to talk about is we've been getting into Warhammer. This game called Warhammer.
Oh no.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it real quick because
So
I
I'm
like
gonna
yeah. So
I'm gonna put the timestamp in the corner. 6 hours.
All right, go. I'll need about half that.
oh, obviously. But
All
yeah,
right, so it starts
so
with a race to the Toa on the island of Matanui.
so I I think we all got into Warhammer basically the same way. I showed like the same video to everyone. I think Gabe actually found these animations that are really cool. The ones with the Space Marines, and they're like, just
Astartes.
yeah,
Dude, Deputy Sisters. No, I found this video I got about let's see, if I've been into this for about a month now, it was about
hmm
2 months ago. I just randomly got this. It was like an hour-long video, like an hour and a half. And it was about this dude named Bricky, and it was how to get into Warhammer 40k. And I was like, what the hell is a Warhammer 40k? And so I clicked on it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then you showed me that video. You showed me the Space Marine one, and I was
Yeah.
like, yep, okay,
I
I'm in.
basically got in because of this video by the guy named the Cosmonaut Variety Hour who like basically made a video how to get into Warhammer as well, and then we went to the store and we got Star Wars Legions, which is basically Warhammer but for Star Wars, so
It's
that's
like
pretty dope.
knockoff Warhammer, basically.
Basically like cheapskate.
Aren't they resin too?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I thought they looked suspicious.
hmm But I also want to talk about our armies really quick that we've been building up. So, Johnny, what was your army again?
I have started two 40k and one Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar is the fantasy line.
Yeah.
So back in the day, there was Warhammer 40k and Warhammer Fantasy. They discontinued it, but they brought it back after a 10-year hiatus, and that's Age of Sigmar. It's the
Yeah.
set in like a same universe long time ago. So that for that one, I have the Flesh Eater Courts, which is this. They're kind of like a zombie army, only their thing is that they're all delusional. So their perception of reality is warped. They think they're living in this high, beautiful land of, prosperity and peace, but they're really just these zombies that roam the lands, chasing people down. They're called the Flesh Eaters. And then for 40k, I have a complete army of Imperial Knights, which are basically just Titanfall mechs, but with knight traditions and houses.
Yeah.
And then I have the Adeptus Sororitas, which is the Sisters of Battle. They are basically nuns with guns and power suits, and they just shoot people.
Dude, they look
and shit.
so cool. They were like
They are.
that and the Space Marines obviously were like the first two that I saw and I was like, "Dang, I really want to get into this." Gabe, do
I
you
just
have
love
a
the dark gothicness of them. Yeah, sorry,
yeah,
you go.
yeah, but Gabe, do you have an army? I'm not sure. Or no.
Yes, so actually, like a really quick tangent. Me getting into Warhammer in the first place was actually a long time coming because
I feel like
good
we
old
all have that personality that like would get into Warhammer very easily.
because we used to talk about a lot of the downsides and not
Yeah.
really a lot of the sides. And Scully, really, I think a lot of this was Scully's doing,
Yeah,
getting us mostly
definitely.
into wargaming. Um, and the way he coaxed me into it was really interesting because I am very cheap, which is a
Yeah.
Oh, we
short
know.
way of saying cost efficient. To the
She
point
asked
where
you
I
to
don't
take
have
her
any
to an
fun.
expensive restaurant. You take her to the dollar menu, my guy.
Dude, he wouldn't
Okay,
even do that. He'd do the dollar menu. He'd get the meal and split it.
yeah, the 50-cent menu. That's what you get around here.
You get the burger, I
So
get the Sprite.
Yeah, honestly. Scully got me into this game called Gaslands Refueled, which we have yet to play, but I totally
Oh, is that
uh
like
re-
the Hot Wheels one where it's like they look like the Mad Max
yes,
ones? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Then we got into Hero Clicks, and then he was slowly getting me to like spend a little more money. First it was, 94-cent Hot Wheels, then it was like $1 Hero Clicks, and then like $11 stuff. And then I still didn't buy any Warhammer.
Do you
No, he
think?
um
hasn't.
Do you
and
think?
I got a small Space Marine army
Mhm.
from Johnny and Maddie that they
So.
were lying in a corner of a room,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Hey, what's happening with these guys?" And like, "Oh well, we don't want those." I was like, "Can I like finesse?" And they were
Dude,
like, "Yeah, sure."
dude, what
So
color scheme are you gonna give him?
I don't know yet. They're actually sitting in the little chicken fryer, as we like to call it right now,
The chicken
getting
fryer.
paint removed.
It's an ultrasonic cleaner. It's like what
Yes.
you use to clean jewelry or glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
And dude, that thing is the bomb. It's just, it sounds like a freaking, I don't even know what it sounds like. It sounds like agony. It's just like, it sounds like metal
It
scraping
sounds like a
together.
femur
It
breaker.
does.
Dude,
Yeah.
it sounds like you're like taking the Titanic and scraping against the iceberg, but that thing strips the paint off. Like, yeah, man, it's great. So, oh yeah, I love that
So
thing. So I've been using it to strip all the paint off.
that's my 40K kill team army.
Mhm.
Because we're into kill team because they're smaller teams, so
Yeah, cheaper.
I'm
Affordable.
more likely to get into it. And something I'm way more excited for is this new Underworlds thing, which is based in the Age of Sigmar universe.
Mhm.
I don't know a lot about the lore, but I told everyone that if I was to go in on Warhammer, I want to play the lizard people, which are called the Seraphon,
Mhm.
which are like a reptilian humanoid race that have, I've recently read some of the lore, have basically been fighting since before the beginning of time, like before the, recorded history of time, because they were mad that their planet was destroyed by the dark gods.
Oh, so it's
But
basically they're just like middle schoolers.
Yeah,
yeah,
essentially.
Yeah, just fighting since the day the world
They're
began.
scaly middle schoolers. Thank you very much.
exactly. And they're super cool looking. So I have a little force of those guys, which is my
Mhm.
first official Warhammer army that I put together.
Well, they're called war
With
bands. They're little task forces.
Yeah.
uh, well, still my first put together and play with kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
really long explanation to that.
So I'm gonna explain my army really quick. I have a Tau army, which, if you don't know, is basically like Gundam Communist, which is
They're
sounds
Xeno
stupid.
scum.
Yeah, basically, like it sounds stupid, but they look really cool, and that's the only reason why I was like, ah, yes, that's the team I need to play.
They are hot.
They are hot looking, but after like reading like what they do, like they have no melee. I did not know that before I bought them, and I did not realize that they were like basically you get to shoot and that was it.
They're
So
interesting though.
they are. It's an interesting game tactic, and the next team I want to go with is the complete opposite, where it basically has no range. It's just melee, which is the Tyranid. The little like
Tyranids are cool.
Tyranids.
They
Tyranids look so cool. They're like little xenomorphs, but like with scissor
That's
blades.
exactly what they are. Yeah, they're like
Yeah,
xenomorph inspired. They're inspired by that rip, the
yeah,
aliens and alien universe style of hive mind buggy boys.
yeah. And right now, I'm giving my Tau the color scheme of like red and gold. So like predominantly gold with like some red highlights on it, some like red markings. That's what I'm going for, with some green like lights on them, and their like gunfire is green.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they obviously got that machine like metal on them some parts.
Oh yeah, that's sick. What I like about the Tau, or what I did like about them was when they first were introduced. So the thing about the Warhammer universe,
I
at
think
least
they're the most
40K,
recent ones to be added too.
they are, I believe, the most recent type, but they're not the most recently updated army. The most
Yeah.
recent one apparently is the Sisters, because they were all metal. But no, what they are is, I believe, they're the most recent lore wise, because they're supposed to be a very recent alien race. So the way 40K the lore is, just to explain it in like 1,000 sentences
Hmm.
combined into one. It's Earth has this is conquering the galaxy, and they have this great emperor who is so strong. He's basically a god, and he's known as the God Emperor. And
Like Star
basically, he
Wars.
goes in a way, but everything in this universe is stronger, more overpowered. So he goes, he conquers the universe, stuff happens. There's a dark age that happens, and then it's kind of on the tail of the dark end. But the thing with the universe, it's called grimdark. It's this very gothic, dystopian future where there's so many planets that were just lost in the dark age that they don't even know. They get lost in the paperwork. There are planets they discover all the time, like, oh, there's people here, oh, there's this here. And so everyone kind of in the universe is the bad guy,
Yeah.
except when the Tau, they were introduced to be the good guys. They have this thing called the greater good, which means, they're, as you said, they're space communists. They're these
Yeah.
they're supposed to be like, for the greater good of humanity. People got really pissed off because, oh no, you can't have a good guy in this universe. So they kind of changed the lore a bit to make them more douchey.
Yeah.
So, like, that kind of stinks, but I kind of liked the idea. But the Tau, they're super neat because they have all this lore, and they're like brand spanking new.
Yeah. But yeah,
They're awesome.
I've also been thinking about getting like the orc army because the orcs are really cool. So one thing about them is they're like whatever they believe becomes true, which is absurdly stupid and hilarious at the same time.
And they don't even realize it either.
Yeah, they don't realize it, and that's the best part.
Yeah, they
And-
have this group. Oh, I love their group thing. You explain it, James. You got it.
But yeah. Oh no, I was about to go off on something else, but you want to explain it real quick?
Oh, so basically they can collectively they're really dumb, like they're the kind of goofballs of the universe. The way they grow, they don't actually like eat and stuff. They grow and get bigger through committing more acts of violence and fighting. So they'll just bonk each other, fight each other all the time. But what's funny about them is all their gear is just scrap and junk. But they have this psychic ability where basically collectively they think that it'll work, and because they think that, thus it works. Like
Yeah.
them, red is the fastest. Red vehicles are faster, so red vehicles do work faster. And if someone else were to hop on them, it would literally just be worthless because
Slower.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
start. And purple's stealthy, so if they're purple, they're hard to see. And there's all sorts of goofy stuff like that, and it makes no sense, but that's the beauty of it. It's
Yeah.
so fun.
And I've also been looking at like when people are like take like items around their house recently, and they've been like making like for example, someone took like a deodorant bottle and they made like a space cruiser out of it, a land cruiser out of it, and it was so cool. I think that's one of my favorite parts about Warhammer. It's just the sheer creativity that each player gets to like make their own army. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really into like painting the minis. That's like one of my favorite parts about this game.
See, I love building it the most.
Yeah,
That's my favorite part.
I love painting them. I know not everyone can agree, but I love painting them. And like every time I paint them, I can feel myself getting better at painting them, which is so satisfying. Literally, actually, probably, maybe turns me on way too much.
Yeah, the painting is as the kids say, bussin'.
As the kids would
It's
say,
good.
sheesh,
Sheesh.
sheesh. But yeah, what paints do you use to paint yours? Because I've been experimenting with paints recently, and
So yeah, you go. Sorry.
yeah, Citadel paints is the first one I used, and some of them are not the greatest. That red I used on my first space Star Wars Legions guy. It works really well for his skin tone, like a skin tone kind of thing. But
Mhm.
it did not. I wish I could go back and repaint them. I think I can, but I might do that at a later point. Like
Well, if
repaint
you
the
want to bring
Tau.
them over
Yeah,
for the
repaint the
ultrasonic
Tau.
thing,
Yeah,
I can clean it.
repaint the first two Tau that I did, and take that red off. And because the new red that I got, these like reds that I get at Hobby Lobby, they're like the cheap brands, but they're
Mhm.
actually surprisingly really good.
Hmm.
So that's just my thing. I like experimenting with these paints to see how they mix and all that. I do. I have
Yeah,
been
I'm
like
sorry.
but I also know that like thinning your paints is also a thing, so that might have been one of the
Mhm.
things. Because I didn't thin my paints at first until this.
That was
third.
my biggest problem. Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely, probably later do that. But yeah, what about you? Which kind of paints are you using to paint your minis?
So I'd say the most important thing, more than any of that, like all that's fine, is get a good primer. Because I learned the
Yeah,
hard way. I was
definitely.
trying to prime like a jackass. I was using all sorts of paints, and I didn't realize you needed, like a primer paint, like actual primer. I thought a base paint could work, and it can, but I was
Yeah.
using it in my airbrush because I have one.
Mhm.
And that stuff flaked off. You rub it with your finger, and it would come out. That's why I got that ultrasonic clear, because I ruined basically,
If
hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of freaking figures because they're covered in paint that flakes off when you look at it. So
Mhm.
long story short, get a good base primer. Right here, I have a spray paint can or rattle can of it's just hobby paint Vallejo, and I have black and gray. But I've tried Vallejo. I've done the army paint, but my favorite, quite frankly, as long as you fit it enough and shake the heck out of it, is the Citadel. It's a little
Yeah.
more pricey, but I get the best results with that.
Yo,
Honestly,
Citadel is actually like quite based, as the kids would say.
yeah, it's based in red build.
Yeah, it is based in red pill, as the kids would say. But
One
I
thing I
think
used to thin it is
yeah.
if you use airbrush thinner, that can help. So I've not really heard anyone use that, but I was like, oh, let me try that. It has a flow improver in there.
Mhm.
That seems to really help keep it consistently smooth, I
I think
find.
I think another good primer option, if you don't have an airbrush, because I know not everybody has an airbrush, is spray paint. I know it's not the most flashy of it, but like it does work. If you
It
know,
can work.
it can work if you know how to use it. Like obviously you can't be getting up close with your model and like blasting the hell out of it because like it's gonna look like a goopy glompy schluck of like summer camp food after that.
I think you got to make sure you get a good paint. I
Yeah,
see a lot of people use like automotive paints
but priming
or
is like
like
so
stuff like that.
important.
Yeah.
Especially like okay, so experimenting with colors for priming is very, 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 very important because it is like you could for all your minis, you could just use like a gray and like a little bit of white for highlighting. But I've been experimenting with my Taos. I'm gonna say my Tau boys. I've been
Mhm.
experimenting because they're primarily gold and red. I've been experimenting using like orange first for the base, and then using a white to like make some like lights, like all that, and it works really well. So
Mhm.
priming your minis with the right colors, experimenting. You have to be you have to be brave enough to fail, essentially, when it comes to painting them,
I
which is
think
not
that's the
yeah
truth. You gotta like be willing to like. It took me a minute, and I'm
yeah
still not that great at it. Quite frankly, I keep getting
I
more and
don't
more
yeah
models, and I've had to cut myself off because I have just an insane amount at this point. It's only been a month, but I'm starting to base coat them all and get them all ready to paint because I've done the knights. The knights are really easy to do because they're like
hmm
I don't know, like they're about the size of a milk jug. Like they're pretty hefty boys, and they're simple, big, blocky, curvy areas, and they look beautiful, but they're easy as heck to paint. But the miniature figurines are they can be very tricky, especially for someone like me that I've never painted with a paintbrush,
hmm
like ever. I mean, I've probably picked one up, and the most I probably used it for would be like in like an art class where they like make you do it, and I never paid
hmm
attention because I usually preferred to use like alcohol and other kinds of alcohol markers, not drink alcohol.
yeah
You know what I mean?
hmm
Use alcohol-based markers and stuff. So
So
it can be daunting, but you just gotta push through it.
all right, so the next thing is if anybody, I don't know if anyone's watching this is going to get into Warhammer after we talk about this for so long, but
Probably not.
probably not.
Probably
But
the opposite.
probably they're probably gonna be like, "Dang, these guys talking almost 20 minutes about it. Dang, I don't want to be associated with these people." But if you're gonna get into the hobby, it's basic as fuck. But the best army to start with is
Space Marine.
Space Marines. Yeah, Space Marines, and then I'm trying to think of what the second best army would probably be. If we're talking about painting wise, it's definitely Space
Necrons.
Marines.
Necrons.
Second one, yeah, probably Necrons.
Scully's right. Necrons.
Yeah,
You can literally just get them silver or bronze or whatever you
yeah,
want, and just you don't even have to do highlights. Quite frankly, they look good just
yeah.
bronze or
You could
gold.
just and then all you have to do is add like if you want to, you can add like the little
The other
energy
good thing
green
about the
stuff or
Necrons
whatever
is
color.
now that they're the like the enemy, the main enemy faction,
Yeah.
they're getting
hmm
a lot of new. They got a new book. They got new units. So the Necrons are getting a lot of new stuff.
hmm
And like they were saying, you can literally just paint them silver and then do like 2 red spots for the eyes, and you've got a Necron warrior done.
Yeah,
And they look good still too. It's not
yeah,
like some of them you can paint anything one color, and like the sisters look they look bad if you don't do that. I think the Tau can be pretty forgiving too, which I think is a great plus to them.
yeah,
I kind of wish I had chosen some Tau guys because they're so good looking. Like the sculpts are very angular in a nice way. They're very
yeah.
boxy, but not like in the not Roblox box. I'm talking about like
I think
I don't know. I don't know how to describe, it, but they
I
look
think
great.
Tau are like right behind Space Marines for like the best in helping you practice your edge highlighting. I'll say
Yes,
that.
I would agree.
because they
I
do
would
have
completely
like
agree.
that. Yeah, they have like those like almost boxy and like sharp. They have like sharp edges basically, so it's very easy for like new players to like take their paintbrush and very easily highlight that compared to something like the sisters or I'm trying to think what would probably be the hardest one.
I
Maybe orcs, because orcs just have like a bunch of junk on them.
see. I found orcs pretty simple. I was gonna say, quite frankly, I think the hardest would have to be the sisters because they have a lot of these
Yeah.
really fine things, and you have to paint the armor different from the robes, and the problem is the robes wrap around. It's
Yeah.
not good. I'd say that maybe. Yeah, I'd say that. Unfortunately, which I didn't realize because I really wasn't painting when I started collecting them because I liked
Mhm.
building them so much more. I'd build it and be like, oh, I need another.
But one thing I definitely want to do is whenever we all like finish our armies, I want to like make some videos of us like you do like some highlight videos of us playing Warhammer. So we'll like do a game and we'll like because I want to do it in the style of tabletop games where they
Yes.
have in like 40 minutes, but ours is probably gonna be like way shorter. It's just gonna be like the fun bits of like us doing our stuff and like that's just kind of what I want to do. But yeah. You guys have anything else to add before that? Because I think we might go into the next topic because we've
If
already been
you're,
talking over
the only
20
thing I would
minutes.
say, if you're interested, just do a little research, look at the lore. There's so many good YouTubers. I mean, like guy Bricky had these long videos on
Yeah.
it. There's plenty of good painters, and I find it therapeutic and relaxing just to
Mhm.
sit down. And I don't get a lot of it done, quite frankly, at a time, but just do a little bit. It's something you can just do on the side. Like Gabe said, I got him one little box and a few Marines, and he's just had fun putting them together. Scully has just a couple kits himself because they're both just putting their toes into and it's just a great hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone's interested,
Yeah.
hit us up. We can talk
Yeah.
about it some more
Of
for
course. Of
hours,
course.
unfortunately.
Hit us up on like Instagram or something, and I'll definitely respond to you as like quickly as I can. But the next topic I wanted to talk about is a very important topic that will decide if our viewers like us or not. And we're gonna be talking about our games of the decade for the last decade that we just left. Like two. Yeah.
Oh,
So everything from like 2010 to 2019, those kind of games, we're gonna go through. We're gonna name some of our favorite games, and then we're gonna have like a little gladiator tournament for us each personally. We're gonna decide which one if it would be our games of the year, decade. I mean, ew. So it's a very tough decision. I've had to think about this long and hard
yeah.
because like there were so many good games that came out that decade.
Was it
So many.
games? Was it games of the decade or is it game of the decade?
We're gonna start with games of the decade, like
Okay.
like probably like your 5 or 10 favorite games of the decade, and then we're gonna move on to your number one. If you had to like take the rest out, old Yeller style, and like shoot in the back of the head. So
All right, Gabe, you've been kind of quiet. Do you want to go first?
yeah, actually, yeah. Come on, Gabe.
Oof, man. Top games of the decade. I don't know, man, because it's been a long decade.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
didn't Skyrim come out in 2011?
Oh shoot, that's right. Skyrim is.
Let me
Of,
look it up.
listen,
Skyrim
I
was
feel
in
like
that. Didn't
That
I
was
feel like
2009.
yeah. Even though
was it 2000?
Bethesda's reputation has been like kind of ruined by like not cyberpunk. it's
2011.
it's by Fallout 76. I feel like that game is so
Wait,
important and
they didn't make
influential.
76.
Yeah. Well, they had Fallout 76. They like it was under
Oh,
the
I'm sorry. I'm stupid. When you said bad game, literally the first thing I thought was Fallout, not Fallout, Cyberpunk 2077, and I was like, why is he talking
I
about
said
Cyberpunk?
I accidentally said Cyberpunk like Cyberpunk
Okay,
76 and then I was like, wait a minute, no. And then
that's
I
all I latched
corrected
onto.
yeah, and then I
I
corrected
mean,
myself.
their track record was great, and they were the kind of one that everybody was jumping on. Oh, they're the best. They're the best. And since the disaster that was 76,
Yeah.
they've just lost that like
Yeah.
instantaneously.
But as much crap as we like to give Bethesda, we
Hmm.
cannot. I don't think anybody can. Nobody in their right judging mind can deny how important Skyrim is to gaming as a whole.
Yeah, I
It,
concur.
of course, it's a glitchy game, like most Bethesda games are. It's just how it is. Most open world games are glitchy, and it's just kind of how you have to accept it. But Skyrim is yeah, because I got into that game like 2018 because I'm a loser, okay? I didn't get into that game until like 2018, 2017. But that game is so much fun.
It really is. You can just get lost in it.
Yeah, you really can. Like just for hours and hours, just running around. So I will say Skyrim is going to be on my list. It's gonna be Skyrim, Doom 2016.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Doom. Thankfully, Doom Eternal did not come out last decade because
it would just crush everything.
it would literally crush everything. Doom
would just
Eternal is
win.
such a perfectly designed video game.
Well, I think the influence that Doom 2016 took, where it made shooters not have to be the mainstream, because there's plenty of good Call of Duties, but at the same time,
Mhm.
there's more than plenty Call of Duties. There's a lot of CODs out there. It's just mindless shooty shoot. It wasn't like that. It was different. It mixed it up.
Yeah. Call of Duty is an interesting case because everybody likes to harp on Call of Duty for like being kind of samey and like not trying anything new.
And
And
yet
I'm
they come back to it.
Yeah, but I think that's why
Yeah.
everyone still plays it because it's safe and they know what they're getting into. So I do think there's
Right.
a market for that.
I agree. I would say if you had to choose one of them from the past decade, my
Like
favorite's Black Ops 1, but I think Black
Yeah.
Ops 2, man.
like of
I
course
definitely
Call of Duty isn't winning game of the year. Like never. But like I think
I mean, definitely not this decade, because
definitely not this decade.
previous decade, that Modern Warfare series was hard to beat.
Yeah.
I kind of gotta
Modern
say
Warfare 2
that
was so good. Listen, I don't play a lot of Call of Duty, but Modern Warfare 2 was I will sit down and play that game. I'm not very good at it, but I will sit down and play that game and have fun.
well, stories were really good.
Yeah.
And I definitely gotta say, like, I don't know if Black Ops 1 was this decade. I didn't
I
play a
don't
lot of
think
Black
so.
Ops
It was
1.
2009. That's my
I
favorite, but it
did-
wasn't then.
Yeah.
right.
I'm pretty sure it's
I
2009.
did play a lot of Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
And that was just like I didn't even play a lot of the campaign. Like I can tell you probably the mission I remember the most was the first mission where you're like out in that African savannah, and that's about it. Because I
Oh,
really like the
I have a good story about
multiplayer.
that.
What's your story?
You're gonna have to, yeah.
What's
No,
your
you finish, Gabe. I can come
Okay.
back, seriously.
So funny thing is like right, like I didn't have Xbox Live as a kid. My dad did, but I was never allowed to play online.
Mm-hmm.
Like for Black Ops 2 to come out and introduce like bots that I could play against was like the peak of gaming for me. I was like, oh well, I don't have friends, so I'll just play against bots, and I did. And I thought I was so good with playing on recruit difficulty, and it was also like it was so classic to just like hop on a town like Nuketown or not a town, a map like Nuketown or Hijacked. And then after zombies was always there, but it was never really a big thing for me. It was kind of one of those things I was afraid to do, right? Like you guys have probably seen the memes where it's like the guy shaking the water bottle, about to play Black Ops Zombies by himself. Like that's basically how I felt as a kid. Like
basically,
oh my
essentially.
god,
Dude, it was. When you're little, that stuff's stressful. People
Yeah.
always roast kids and stuff, but like when you're little, there's like the craziest movies will stress you out or upset you, man. Like I was little, I liked the zombies, but like I really couldn't play it because even when I was old enough to, at first it just stressed me out too much. So I
Yeah.
mean, I totally get that. Weak.
I used to get
And
up every
then
morning just to play zombies alone.
I bet you did.
I remember hearing those stories. Maddie was I have to say Maddie was really the one that got me into zombies because he's explained the whole lore of the game, like the games, like multiple times to me, like at least 3 times.
As
Yeah,
you should.
And
Warhammer
got
has
me-
a lot of lore. That game has a lot of lore too. I mean,
Yeah,
Warhammer's been around since the 80s, I think, and it's probably been surpassed by zombies at this point. There is so much lore.
There's
there
too
is.
much lore.
And now
In my
they're
opinion,
starting they're starting more stories as Cold War came out. It kind of expanded a new set of a new set of stories for the zombie lore,
Mhm.
which is really cool. But definitely got to give credit to Scully for literally explaining the lore like 3 times, and
As he should. As he should.
getting me into the soundtrack and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I know when the
Um,
game first came out, I was what was that, 2011, I think. So it was like the first, because I'd played a little bit of Halo here and there, but it was the first shooter I was like allowed to play because my dad was he was very protective of us. So he was like, okay. So he was like, yeah, you're old enough to play it. You can play it. So I played it, but his only question was like, hey, just put it on the. I think there's a way to subdue the violence or whatever. So it takes like the blood and the extra violence or whatever, like the gore. So I did that, and so in the beginning mission, there's a Humvee that's flipped over, or some armored vehicle, and there's a guy inside, and the vehicle's on fire, it's burning, and your guys, like, it starts with the vehicle flipped over, and your guys trying to break the window with a shovel, and the guy ends up, dying inside. It's supposed to show how graphic and terrible this war zone is, and oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
But when you turn that off, the violence, there's nothing in there. So your guy just runs over with a freaking shovel and starts beating the window of a burning car for no reason, screaming, no, no, no. And I remember being like 11 years old, like, what the hell is this? So and then, the next time I played it, like, I just forgot to turn the violence or whatever off, or maybe I was just going back and I was like, oh, let me not, because I'm an edgy boy. And it like scared the bejesus out of me. I was like, oh my god, there's a dude cooking in there. He's just getting barbecued alive. It scared the bejesus out of me.
Dude, that man looked medium rare. I cannot lie.
Dude, he was
That man's was cooking in there.
smoking, yeah. I just need some like, freaking sauce to put on him. I don't know what you'd want to put on him. Steak sauce or barbecue sauce?
Whichever
thinking
one you
barbecue.
prefer.
I'm putting steak sauce.
Yeah, of course, of
Nah.
course.
Unless
course
it's
you would.
Carolina, unless it's Carolina barbecue.
Dude, I put barbecue sauce on my steak even. Barbecue sauce is where it's at.
That is that.
Yeah.
I just heard that in my brain just like short circuited. I was like, what?
Your world's been unleashed.
My
Your mind
world
is
was
open.
my mind literally was just open for a fragment of a time, and I literally saw the past, present, and future at the same time.
And all you saw was barbecue sauce.
All I saw was every barbecue sauce known to man,
So there it was.
with barbecue sauce in the future, and on my titties.
Well, canceled.
Ugh, dang it. But
Um,
but yeah, back to
man,
like
now I'm trying to think of games in the last 10 years because
Like-
Black Ops 2 definitely. Doom
I'm tr-
2016.
yeah, I'm trying to think of like big games that like I love that I played.
Halo Reach. For me, it was Halo Reach. That was the
Oh.
first shooter I really played.
The first shooter that I
want-
really fell in love with, unfortunately, was Overwatch.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
You were hyped about that, man.
Yeah, I
Dude,
was
you
really
were-
good at Junkrat in that game. I was good.
Okay, you had me impressed because I always played Diva, and then I was like, dang, I need a main junk right now. So I tried. I couldn't because you can't aim
It's
for
been so
shit
long
with
since
him.
I played that game, but I might play Overwatch 2 if they still have Junkrat in the game. If they don't
Does it
have
have
Junkrat,
crossplay?
I think so. So they probably will.
Yo, I got it on the Xbox, so I might as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be lit.
But yeah. If they
Yeah,
have
well-
Junkrat in Overwatch 2, which why wouldn't they? He's the best character in that game, obviously. So I have a little Funko Pop of him on my desk right now. He's chilling, grilling.
All right, about to break.
But
About to break
definitely
it.
not
I had
game of
to
the
say it
decade.
before-
Sorry. What were you
I
saying?
had to say it where Johnny said it.
Okay.
Titanfall 2.
Titanfall 2 got screwed over
Yes.
so hard, and it makes me so upset.
But the player base is coming back.
It is.
The player
I played
base
that game
fight
when I think the
coming.
first time I played that game was at Johnny's house.
Yeah, it was
That
definitely
was
me.
yeah, and that game was so good. I was baffled. I was stunned, blown back, if you will. By
A
how
little
good-
background of the game. These guys have already heard me rant because when I like something, as Gabe can testify, I repeat myself once or twice or 30 times. But
all
Titanfall,
do.
it was made by Respawn Entertainment, who are the guys that made the old Call of Duty's Modern Warfares. So they ended up leaving the studio and they went and they did their own thing. They made that. And so if you look at when the first one came out, the first game was kind of it was a mess, to be honest. I liked the game, but it was garbage. It didn't even have a campaign. But it came out right around, and that's where the idea for like all the wall running and power suits like Advanced Warfare, that's where that came from. So that came out, and that thing was kind of a hot mess, and that's where that whole spark started. And Titanfall 2 came around, and in my opinion, it's like I'd say top tier game. I know it's underrated, but it got released between
It
was
got
it
released between
Battlefield 1?
Yeah, Call of Duty and Battlefield, like one of the some of
And-
the games, one of those two games.
It was
both
yeah,
of
it
them
was
actually.
it was just right then. It got just crushed, and I mean,
It was
it-
so
so, yeah.
unfair.
it was just bullshit. But in my opinion, that game, oh my god,
I think we can
it's the
yeah.
start of that genre of wall running's power jumping.
because Cyberpunk didn't come out until this decade. I think we can safely say that Titanfall 2 was the most screwed over game of that decade.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
You know the devs for Titanfall 2? They won an Oscar.
they did for
When
what?
was this?
The recent Oscars.
Oh,
Awesome.
wait, for what?
So they made a short film, I think with Oculus or someone else, some
Oh,
VR company, and they made a
Oh,
short
nice.
documentary film, and they
Good
won
for
best
them.
short documentary film at the Oscars.
that is
I
impressive.
never followed
But
that
it's
stuff.
also
That's
impressive.
awesome.
Yeah, that's impressive. But it's also kind, not to be mean, but like it's also kind of impressive that like how little people care about the Oscars nowadays. Like obviously winning something there is like huge and important, but like nobody cares.
Yeah. Another thing about Titanfall 2 as well, like that I really liked was like, dude, how short the campaign was. Like I hated
I think
how
it's
short
short but
the
sweet. I think it's one of those.
Yeah.
It is. And it's really cool because I've thought of it that way. Like I was able to play the whole thing in like a day. Like which is the first. I think that was the first video game, not the first video game campaign I finished, but like the fastest I had ever completed one. And it was like all in all like
Oh,
6 to 8 hours. But it was
Yeah, I was no. You keep talking. I just thought about a game. Sorry.
uh, but it was like the perfect dose, right?
Yeah.
Because you were introduced to each Titan, and you were introduced to like all sorts of cool action and abilities in the game, and it was a well put together story. Like, dude, at the end of 8 hours, I was obviously, teared up and everything. Like a wrench had been, ripped out of my heart. No spoilers if you haven't played the Titanfall 2 campaign. But like you feel a real connection between the characters. And it's a killer ending.
I mean,
Plot twist,
spoiler
Iron Man
spoiler for
does.
like a when did Titanfall 2 come out? Like
2015, 14.
yeah,
Let me look it up.
yeah. Spoilers for like a 6-year-old game. Sorry.
Yeah, you had a chance.
Yep. Iron Man
and
dies.
it's really
Sorry.
My
yeah,
bad.
mhm,
Thanos gets
Yeah, 2016.
dead.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
you guys
fine.
didn't vote Among Us yet. My goodness.
It wasn't this.
Um,
Oh my goodness. Listen,
withdrew.
I will stand on this hill and I will die on this hill until I die for real. But I genuinely like Among Us as a game. It's
I do
just
too.
yeah, but it's just is ruined by the people around it.
It's like Fortnite. Fortnite's actually a pretty good game. I started playing it with Scully
Nah,
and my
I don't know if I
younger
can. I don't know if I can
brothers.
say that.
Trust me. And I
Yeah.
hate fucking Fortnite. And I got
I
Gabe to
hate
play a
this
little
game,
bit,
but I will play it
and I
every
got
night.
our friend Crimson to play a little bit,
Mhm.
and we had fun to the point where I even ended up buying the battle pass so I could hang out with my little brother. And like, yeah, I mean, it's not my kind of
Battle
game,
Pass?
Yeah.
That looks like the battle
Go
pass.
ahead.
That's what I was saying.
Google,
but like
show me this guy's.
$19 Fortnite. Yeah.
What?
But it wasn't as bad as I thought. And I was like, if I was a fan of victory royale games or battle royale games, I would like it. But
See, battle
don't.
royale games are such a cool concept, and now they're like over flooded. The market's over flooded for it.
Well, because it's a really competitive market,
Yeah.
and I will say the game that I wanted to add, the reason I threw Titanfall in there, not just because it was a good game, but because Apex Legends came in and
Oh yeah.
in my opinion, Apex Legends is like the best battle royale.
See,
It just
Apex
got real
Legends is a game
Agreed.
that I've played, and it's actually fun. I
Oh.
do think if I played Fortnite, I do think maybe I would like it. But I think it's the art style that throws me off of it. Like I almost like the art style, but there's something about it that throws me off. It's definitely trying to capture like a cartoony vibe, but
Well, I like how simple it is because you can
Yeah.
play it on any device from your phone to
Yeah,
your Switch.
that's really
It's
cool.
good enough that
yeah.
it's clear, but it's like it feels like the graphics from Overwatch, but on like a plasticky level.
It's like Overwatch, but like the kiddie Overwatch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, plastic. It's like
Yeah.
dumbed down, which is great because you can play it on your phone, and like my little brother can play it on his freaking
It's
whatever. I play
great
it on my
if you
Switch.
want the Fortnite Funko Pop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Dude, I
but
see
at the
those
same
all the
time,
time at Walmart, and I want to burn all of them.
why don't you buy them all?
Buy them
Dude,
all
just,
to burn
just
them.
gift me one. Gift me one.
Dude, that's gonna be my Christmas gift for everyone. Everyone who I have to get a Christmas gift for, I'm gonna give them a Fortnite Funko Pop.
I will personally. I will tie you to something,
You're gonna
and I will do so. I don't know what I'll do yet. Whether it be like throw like I don't know. I'm gonna melt some butter and like just pour
Dude,
it in your
okay,
hair,
so here's the
grease on
best.
you.
Here's the best thing you got to do. You got to get the Fortnite Funko Pop, but you obviously have to do the thing where you put it in like a big box, but it's actually like
I thought, okay, all right,
okay,
box.
but like
Yeah.
it can't just be a regular box. It has to be
What about a
something
jar?
that's a jar filled with what? But you got to
I
get a
don't know.
box, and you gotta give it like you gotta put in a box that something that they would like. I don't know. Like if your sibling wants to play guitar or something, put in like in a guitar box, I guess. Whatever those look
Mhm.
like. And then they open it. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you got me a guitar." And you're like, "Ah, yeah." And then they like start opening the box, and then you're like, "It's even better." And it's a single Fortnite Funko Pop in it.
That would be wonderful, honestly.
And you watch their like face slowly crumble into sadness as they like take a noose and wrap it around your neck.
You see, I just realized something. If this was in there, it's 2009, not 2010, but Left 4 Dead 2, like
Yeah,
that
I think that could count.
unequivocally is a classic.
Left 4 Dead 2, yeah, it's a classic. It's still getting updates too, which is amazing.
Yeah, I know. I just was on the other day actually.
Before I forget, I'm gonna say it. Spider-Man PS4 is so amazing, and I thought about it because Gabe was talking about campaigns that he went by really fast, and that was, I- I'll be honest, that's probably the best story in a video game that I remember right now. Like Spider-Man PS4 is so much fun, and I beat it in like a day and a half, and I'm so upset that I beat it in a day and a half because that was such a good story.
Dang, that's
Yeah.
hardcore.
Yeah. I was addicted to that game. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a girlfriend to worry about. So
And at the time, you didn't have to worry about your school because you didn't give a shit. So you had
exactly,
nothing.
I really had nothing to do. I just had to
I
get
don't
on
like
there.
third. Yeah, I
What?
don't really like third-person adventure games, and I used to be Xbox. I'm
Listen.
now PC.
Yeah.
But even I liked that game, and I thought, wow,
Yeah.
this is a fun game. I had a lot of fun. I
I know.
remember I was at my uncle's house, and he has all those games. And dude, I just like basically sold my soul to the PS4 for the day. It was
Dude,
great.
I'm not buying a PS5 until Spider-Man 2 is getting on that. Like
Oh,
definitely.
yeah.
The PS5 is like way too outrageously priced for me, and like it's you can't even buy it anyways, even if you wanted to.
You can buy it if you want, but you got to basically steal it instead. You can't. You can
Yeah,
buy it for like
exactly.
6K.
Did you see
What
like
about Portal
videos
2
of
though?
like
Oh yeah, yeah.
have you seen videos of like people literally beating each other up for PlayStations and Xboxes?
See, I don't get that because like I get like if you want like a fancy part for your PC or like say like you want something fancy for your car, the newest iPhone or Samsung, I get that. There's exclusive features. My thing with like the PS5 and the Xbox Series X is they're better, sure. I totally get that. And they're nice. Sure, I totally get
But
that.
yeah,
And it is a flex, but there's nothing exclusive for either
yeah,
of
I
them
don't
on the
think that
horizon as far as I know. So it's not like you get anything better. It's not like, oh man, I want to play Spider-Man 2. It's only PS5. No, you can play it on both. So like it doesn't block you out without having it. So I don't get why people like lose their shit.
I know like I think the only differences right now that I can see from the PS5 from the PS4 is like there's essentially no loading times on the PS5, which is kind of bizarre. And it runs at like almost all games run really smoothly on there, except Cyberpunk, obviously. Cyberpunk doesn't run smoothly on apparently anything. But yeah, those are the only differences I can think of for
It
them.
is not. I have two games to propose.
What?
One would be No Man's Sky, a game I have not played, but I know started in the gutter and just shot up from there.
I have No
Oh
Man's
yeah.
Sky, but I haven't played it since it came out.
And the other is Portal 2, which came out
Oh
in
yeah,
2011.
Oh yeah.
I
So
know
you
Gabe is
already
really
know.
into Portal.
Dude, I had a lot of fun playing that game. Like a lot of fun.
Mm.
Because it's there's something really relaxing about hopping on it and just like playing for hours, like just like trying to solve the puzzles.
Yeah,
It's like it's a game whose story you can kind of get behind, and the ending to Portal 2 was like really sick. Like if you haven't finished Portal 2,
yeah.
like go look up the end scene and you'll see why it's super awesome. And a game in terms of like games that started off really crappy and are now like still killing the boards. Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah,
I
that's
can
a
agree.
popular game.
Like that game started out so bad and got so much guff for so many years. but we've gone back and played it like several times. Like every now and then we'll get this Rainbow Six Siege bug where we go
The
on,
itch.
we hop on, we play, yeah, and we play, and the servers are still like super lively. I think they're actually starting to flatten out a little bit,
I
but
hear some. Well, everybody, no matter what you do to the sandbox or the meta in a game, it's been broken and ruined irreparably. So I hear people are saying that right now. The meta has been permanently destroyed and the game's never the same and the community is toxic. But like, truth be told, I think it's kind of always been toxic and the meta's probably not that shifted.
Yeah.
So
right.
I'm pretty sure it's still viable.
I'm gonna name 2 video
And
games.
it's a great game, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna name 2 video games that I know you guys probably wouldn't be on your guys' list, but they're on my list because they mean a lot to me.
Sonic.
I wasn't gonna name that one, but sure, we're gonna put that one on there too. We're gonna put Sonic Generations on there because that game is really good, and I don't care. Fight me. Yeah, that's the end of that one. But Pokemon White 2 is really good. It's my favorite Pokemon game. It's like my
Mhm.
second ever actual video game that I ever played. Because of course I played like a bunch of video games on there, but nobody counts Littlest Pet Shops for the DS.
It's not quite a game, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. That was the second ever like real video game I ever played, and it's like one of my favorite video games still.
Understandable.
And the second one, well, the third one technically now, is Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Like the
That
perfect,
is a contender.
yeah, that is like the perfect Smash Brothers game by far. Like no other game even
It's
comes
not
close.
even a game I like, but it's totally a contender, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The love and dedication made by the director Masahiro Sakurai is like, beautiful.
And the community slash fan base, like, is
It-
just dedicated. Like, you don't
Yeah.
see that kind of stuff. I mean, you see, like, you had like back in the phase of like Fortnite players, but like
Mhm.
the Smash has always had that community where you have like the elite hardcore gamers that like that is their thing. That's what they do. That's what they love and are passionate about. And like this, that's kind of died up for Fortnite. But I don't even like the game. Like, not my kind of game.
Yeah.
But I still see people passionate about the game the same way. And it's been how long? So like it's a contester for sure. Might not be
Yeah.
my thing, but dude, it's definitely earned that. I think.
Okay, but for real, I'm gonna talk about Sonic Generations really quick.
No. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a really big Sonic fan, unfortunately. Like, out of all video game franchises to like, I really hate that I like this franchise. But this game is genuinely really good. Like, they actually had competency making this game. It's really fun. The gameplay is really addictive. They had a blast making the level designs, obviously, like just by how good they are. Like, there's a whole bunch of routes that you can take for both regular Sonic and classic Sonic, and they're both really fun to play, which is very important. It's a very short game, I'll give you that, and the story is kind of doo doo water, I'll give you that. But for me, Sonic has never been about story per se. Like, if the story is
think so, yeah.
entertaining and fun, that's all I care about. But if it's like a doo doo storyline, then like, yeah, cool, whatever. I'll play it and like I'll enjoy the gameplay. As long as the gameplay is fun, that's what I care about most.
I agree. I think sometimes
Which is why I
people have
don't
this.
enjoy most
Yeah.
Sonic games because most of them are garbage. But that's besides me.
I think people like to put like, and including me, I like to have like a cool or an interesting narrative around things. So like, and people get, especially, I find a lot of people get really wrapped up in like the stuff for like me included. I'm sure you guys too. Like the lore and the worlds these games are set in, and this and that, and all this in-depth analysis and the quality of the narrative and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you're just to have fun, and if
Yeah.
the game's able to provide fun, it's probably a good game. Like, it doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
this gothic, detective black noir, murder mystery. It's super intense and black and white. Yeah, no, hell no. Sonic, freaking whatever can. Which one you said? Not
Uh,
Mania. I know it's
Generations. Mania is also a
Generations.
contender. 'Cause
I know you like
Generations-
the Mania. That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
Mania
But
is really good.
so Sonic Generations. Who cares, man? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a contender, it's a contender.
But like, what is your guys' favorite video game? Because mine's also a Sonic game. My favorite video game is a Sonic game. Just real quick, name your favorite video game.
BioShock.
BioShock. What about you, Gabe? That's a pretty good
Man,
video game.
I keep pressing the camera button instead of the microphone button.
I just get to see your
Man,
pretty face.
my favorite video game.
Yeah.
I was almost tempted to say Bioshock Infinite for a second, but I think I have to say like probably Modern Warfare, like the original, like
Yeah.
from 2004 or something like that. Like because I played that campaign as a kid and I waited so long to play that multiplayer, and I got crushed by my dad in several matches, and then one day I finally beat him, and I've never played the multiplayer since.
Yeah. What about?
But that was just
Yeah.
peak story in game.
I see that. But what about you, Scully? What would you say is your favorite video game?
Payday 2 PC version.
Of
Contender
course,
to be sure.
of course, PC version. Of course,
What
Master Race
year was
system.
that released?
2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, then that should go in the decade and favorite game too. So it
Yeah.
should go in both categories. I
My
forgot to mention that.
my favorite video game. What?
Well, see, there's actually a difference. The devs abandoned the console version like years ago, so the PC version is actually vastly superior.
What are the major differences besides the
Like you're
updates?
missing like half the maps, tons of the weapons, tons of the heisters, just like tons of content.
That
It's
sucks.
kind of funny that most console versions of games kind of get left in the dust compared to the PC versions. Like PC really do get the best of like all worlds. It's not even fair sometimes.
I agree, but I think
But
it
it makes sense because
to
yeah,
an
it makes
extent.
sense though because the PC is like just objectively the better system, almost not even almost all the time.
Well, also it's universal. Like
Yeah.
you have all you have to worry about is specs. It's not like you have to go, oh man, this is a PlayStation disc or whatever. No, PC is PC. As long as you have the hardware slash in some ways the software, like you can't go try and run Steam on Linux very easily. You can try, and people do that crap, but that's the real edge lords that like to say they're a hacker. I mean, you just need the basic stuff and the hardware really, and you can run it on any PC. It doesn't matter if it's this brand or that brand, as long as it can run the operating system that is required, it
Yeah.
works.
And I'm gonna say my favorite video game real quick because I just kind of realized I didn't say that. My favorite video game in general is Sonic Unleashed, and I'm not gonna go too detailed right now because I'm actually making a video about it, about all Sonic games, because I'm very passionate about it.
I had no clue.
Yeah, but yeah, but yeah. Sonic Unleashed is my favorite video game. It was like the third ever video game I ever played, and I only ever played it because my dad got it, and then he rage quit off of it for some reason because he couldn't pass the third level. And then I picked it up, and then I restarted the game, and I picked it up, and like, I fell in love with the game.
Oh, so I've been scrolling through the Steam list of games and whatnot right now this whole time. I just found a contender. Again, not
What?
necessarily my thing,
Okay,
but this absolutely deserves a spot as a game of the decade.
Yeah.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Listen,
That was so
as much as I
impactful.
don't want to give it the credit it deserves,
Yes.
it gets the credit it deserves because it is very influential for its time, and it definitely
is.
speaks to a lot of people. I know it speaks to like my brother because my brother loves that game.
Mhm.
Yeah. So for him, I will put it down in like a list.
I mean, it's just had such an impact.
I don't know
like,
whoever's listening to this, keep a list of whatever we say and put in the comments or something. Of like video games.
I mean, we could go back and do it, but that's kind of effort,
Yeah,
we're
that's
lazy.
effort, and I don't really feel like doing that, so I'm gonna put the job on you guys. So do that for me. I'll give you.
But I would say that
I'll give you a
does deserve one
smooch.
for its influence alone. Yeah.
If you do it in the comments, I'll give you a smooch.
Oh damn! I might go do it actually. Then never mind.
But yeah, I'm gonna give us some time to think about that. Also, because
Well,
my phone
the
is about
or the game.
the games of the decade. So at the end of the
bang,
yeah.
bang. Never mind.
Yeah, the games of the decade we're going to answer at the end of the episode because right now I want to get to these questions we have because also my phone is about to die, so I'm just going to answer them really quickly. Not super quickly, but yeah. And the first one is by Sandra's Soupy account and says, "If you could have any game remade, what would it be?" A very good question.
Payday 2.
Fallout 76.
Okay. I think mine. I'm gonna have to be straight on this one. Sonic Adventure 2.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Listen, I like Sonic
Yeah,
games. I can't.
starting to see a little bit of
Oh,
a
I
trend.
wonder why.
Well, I see Scully chose Payday.
Yeah,
I
Payday
see
2.
Gabe chose Fallout 76.
Why would you
Which-
guys want those games remade? That's an interesting question.
Payday's got some old graphics and
Yeah.
some bugs that needs fixing. If they could like update the
Would you
graphics,
would you
fix those bugs.
would you prefer a remaster or a remake?
I've pretty much done most there is to do in Paydays, so a remake would be nice to have something fresh.
Yeah.
How many times have you prestiged?
25 times.
25 times. He's done everything 25
Well,
times.
they're adding like 500 levels, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to grind for that.
Dude, you've done it all, man. You don't
Maddie
lie.
is
You're out.
Scully is kind of a legend. Not gonna lie.
That is his favorite
The Legend
game.
27.
But Gabe, why Fallout 76?
Fallout 76 because we got really excited about it when it was
Yes.
coming out, and it had a lot of potential. The way they went about it was just wrong. The reason I say that, and I've been thinking about this for years, like how they could redo it. And obviously, my game development experience is very limited, like to very simple scripts on a Roblox game,
Mm-hmm.
like that barely anybody played. Um,
Hey,
so
I played it.
obviously take my perspective here with a grain of salt. I'm not an expert, but like Ghost Recon Wildlands came out that same year, I'm pretty sure. Now,
Mhm.
Ghost Recon Wildlands is another contender because it was a lot of fun. There was a mission on there where you could hunt the predator out in the jungle.
Mhm.
Maddie and I spent a lot of time with my dad trying to do that. But Ghost Recon Wildlands, the way they did it was when
That's the
you
third
started
time.
the game, right? You had a world, and that was the world that you did all the missions in because it was an open world map. So you did all your missions. Well, you could play with people. And the way you would play with people is by inviting someone to your game. So then you would invite, I would invite Maddie or my dad to the thing, and then we would play on my world. Or, I would get invited to one of their worlds, and then we would play strictly on their world. The way Fallout 76 did it was just big servers, basically like Rust or um uh
The game, not the
basically
map.
like,
Rust.
yeah, Rust or what's that game called? Ark Survival Evolved, yeah, where it was just an open server and everybody could join, and that made it really crappy because then people just camped the spawn. Stuff spawned in the same place every time. There was really no variation. Like there was nothing really fun about the game. It was kind of just like on a timer and a cycle, and eventually it was exploited because everybody would just camp and spawn nukes, and it was just
Yeah.
chaos. And things like the cryptid hunts, which I kind of want to go back and try, solo and everything, because I feel like those would be pretty cool. Um, a lot of those things that had a lot of potential, were just ruined because they couldn't, because of the way they designed it. Whereas if they would have just designed it like a solo world that you could invite people to, I feel like it would have been a lot more successful.
Yeah. Johnny, did you have an answer or no?
Yes, and I think it's quite apparent. It should be Doki Doki Literature Club.
Dude,
No, but
facts.
seriously though, if I was to choose any game, I have kind of two. I would love, and I mean just love, for them to recreate the original, and I mean old original, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and
That would be
update
so
it.
cool.
I know the modern one, it's great. I have it because I have like 4 copies because I keep getting like, get a free copy on here, get a free copy on here. So I have like 4 copies of it all over the place on my PC. But like, it doesn't have it. And maybe it's just because it looks different and so I can't see it. But man, I would love that. And the other one, if I could have anything updated, God, what was the game I was thinking of? See, I've gotten really into old school like shooters like the original Doom and
Yeah.
whatnot, and I would love for them to remake either,
Yo, what if they made like the Crash Insane trilogy, but for like Doom, like the Doom trilogy?
yes, that would be amazing.
That'd be pretty cool.
Stuff like that, I would love that.
And
That
it's
or
like
Quake.
and it's like essentially like the same game, but like it's like in the updated style maybe. And maybe it's not even 3D, but like it has updated arts and like
Mhm.
yeah, like that kind of be
One
kind of cool.
one game that is actually coming out, so they're remastering it, and this was going to be my top choice, is the original System Shock.
Oh yeah.
I've wanted to play that game for so long, and they actually are supposed to be doing a remaster slash update, and like it's been on Steam's like available whatever it's like available 2017 or something like that, available 2019 summer, and said that for like eons. And it's supposed to come out at some point, but I want that really bad.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm kind of lucky in the fact that it actually is coming true.
And I'll explain my answer really quick. Sonic Adventure 2 is a very good game, and I really love the game. It's one of my favorite games. I'm just really upset that like obviously it's an old game. It came out in 2001 for the fifth the 10th anniversary, something like that. Yeah, for the 10th anniversary of the Sonic franchise. And it's very much very much a 2001 game with like glitches and like that kind of pizzazz, and it's not the prettiest looking game by our standards.
Yeah.
And it's not very easily accessible for like most people, because either you have to buy it on Steam, and I don't have a PC yet, or you have to, I don't even think they have it on the PlayStation store for like the PS5 and the PS5, I think. They might have it for the new Xbox series, like the new Xbox, but I'm not sure. And I would just love for people to either re-experience the game or experience it again with like a new coat of paint, updated with like the 2021 graphics and like all that. This is kind of what I think.
Yeah, I think it'd be awesome.
That'd be
Get
pretty.
the
Yeah.
people to experience it. You know.
Yeah. If you can't tell, I'm a loser.
I mean, are we not all?
Are we not
hearts?
all? We just talked about Warhammer for like 20 minutes at the beginning of this episode.
Oh my god, yes we
But
did.
yeah, but we're cool losers because you're listening. But
I mean, if you're listening, you're a loser too, right?
yeah,
So
facts.
we're all in it together.
Yeah, we're all here together. But let's hop into our next question, which is from Batman Beyond 121. And they say, thoughts on Bethesda buyout, or maybe the thoughts on release states of games being trash. And I think he's kind of referring to Cyberpunk 2077 in that. Because
So,
that is
I'll
the...
take this question.
What? Yeah. What did you say?
I said I can take this question.
All right. Answer is for us, Scully.
So, yeah, I think it's a good thing that Bethesda got bought by Microsoft.
Oh.
They've had some rough spots with 76, and hopefully, with better funding and management, they'll be able to perform better. And also, now we have a chance at the Doom crossover with Master Chief.
Dude, that's actually a good point. I know not all Bethesda games are going to be exclusive to Xbox though, because they said that they're willing to like have them on there.
Yes.
I do
Yeah,
think some of the bigger
It
games
sounds
like
more like a corporate answer.
Exactly. It's like when people asked, so NBA or NBA and Madden or whatever, the most recent ones were $70 a piece, and people were like, "Wow, is that the new game price?" And they said, "Well, we are not sure. We have to see what the market will sustain and hold." And you're like, "Okay, that's some corporate crap. That's red tape right there, man. That's
Mhm.
a bunch of jump through hoops." The answer, it's a corporate answer.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I kind of think a lot of them are going to become exclusive because if you pay that bucket of cash for that, why would you not?
They
Yeah.
paid if I.
Or
if I'm
they're
not
gonna do the
mistaken,
thing
they
where it's
paid
like,
more than Disney paid for Star Wars.
Yep.
yeah, or they're gonna do the thing where it's like, the game comes out in like, say 2025, but it doesn't come out for like the PC or the PlayStation until like
See, no,
2030.
PC is a different case entirely. Microsoft is actually trying to get into the PC market more
Yeah.
and more, and so they've been doing not only crossplay but like simultaneous releases and stuff.
Mhm.
And they recently were talking about how they're trying to make the Windows Store better. Which
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they're going to beat Steam, but like
Of course.
they're trying to get into the PC marketplace.
Steam is Steam.
So it's probably just going to be PlayStation and Nintendo, if the Switch can run it, that are going to get
Mhm.
the short end of the stick.
Yeah. The Switch probably couldn't run it. The Switch can barely run like a piece of toast.
I mean, I run Cyberpunk on my Switch all the time. What are you
Okay.
talking about?
Of course. Dude, the Cyberpunk on Switch sounds like a disaster. It sounds like a nightmare.
You can't even play the game. It's like 2D platformer, man.
Yeah. But that's kind of I kind of like that they were bought out kind of for what Matt is for Scully said about the whole them having a higher budget and better management. But I also don't want to buy an Xbox just so I can play Doom, if that makes sense.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I completely understand that.
Yeah. Cuz I don't want to buy the consoles. I don't want to buy 3 consoles just to play all the games that I want to play, you know. But
I agree.
I do think I do have to get a PC soon. That's one thing. because I also want to play
think that is
Halo
the best
Infinite.
option.
I want to play Halo Infinite when it comes out, and I know that's
Same.
coming out to PC too.
Well, basically, when it comes to Windows 10 and Xbox, they're more or less the same. In fact, I know for a long time, I'm not sure if it still is the case, but if you bought an exclusive Xbox game on the Xbox,
Mhm.
you got a free PC copy as well. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it worked vice versa, but I think it did. And
Mhm.
they're kind of interchangeable. A lot of times, this crossplay is very easily to do between that because it's both Microsoft. They're just gaming on like basically two different things. So the PC and Xbox I kind of see as interchangeable for like when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
the PC tends to be better in my opinion, also because they get games like what's the one like Death Stranding just came out recently for the PC, which I was really hyped about.
Yeah.
You said also you were wanted to talk about Cyberpunk.
Okay, yeah, because he was talking about. He asked the question about what do we think about like like how games are released in like a very shitty way, and that's actually kind of interesting because that's been happening for like a long time. Because we just were talking about like games that had like a bad start, but they got better after time.
I think there's a simple solution or explanation for that in a
Yeah,
sense.
and
If you look,
I
yeah,
agree. It's a
mhm.
terrible. It's terrible that that happens, and I hate when it happens. Like I almost, even though the game is good, like after a while, I don't always want to support the game because like
Mhm.
it, to me, it feels like the game should be good to run at launch. Like
It should be.
yeah, like what happened with Fallout 76 shouldn't have happened. What happened with the PS4 and Xbox One's versions of Cyberpunk shouldn't have
God,
happened.
yeah.
They should have, because I know it could run well enough on PS5 and the new Xbox, and it ran well on PC. So it should have just released for those consoles and the PC,
See,
and then
it shouldn't have
they
even
should have
released.
waited and released it on PS4 and Xbox One.
It shouldn't have even released for PS5 or Xbox, whatever it's called, because
I
like
keep getting what the Xbox is called. I think it's what is it, Series X?
Series X.
Yeah.
yeah, because like tons of the features that they planned or promised, said they weren't even there. So even if it wasn't buggy, just so many of the features they talked about just weren't there. So the game wasn't ready even from just like a feature wise,
Yeah.
let
And listen,
alone for
this is coming
playing.
from the guy who's only played Cyberpunk on PS4, and I still like that game.
I agree. As I was gonna say, the game objectively, I think. So
If you
I have a
like
lot to say on
GTA,
this.
you like Cyberpunk.
I think the game objectively, in a playable state, is a phenomenal, phenomenal game.
Hmm.
However, it is for the most part very either outright unplayable or just buggy beyond belief and just full of issues and glitches. I had a glitch. Just the most memorable one I remember was my guy yanked the door off a car. Basically, my guy had it was like stuck to his arm with a pistol, and it was like, what the hell?
I've had
Um,
multiple like textures not loaded.
well, I've had yeah the
Yeah.
game
Well, what do
fully
you think
crash.
about them lying about features that just
Well,
Yeah.
didn't appear?
I
See, that's the
completely
thing too.
agree.
Yeah.
That's just wrong on like an ethical level. Sure, maybe it's not legally, but like when you have a community like they made the Witcher game, and that's one of the most beloved games that people still talk about.
I think
But they kind of betrayed their fan base. I do think one thing that I thought was pretty interesting and it changed my perspective was when I realized so people they had their original release date, which obviously which I was expecting them to fail for, and they did. And then they started getting people losing their shit, sending them death threats. So they said, "Fuck it, we'll release it then," and they just released it. So I think in that aspect, the toxic community
I think it
is
also has to do with people
wrong.
like just wanting things like now. They're like most people
Yeah,
don't want to wait for a video game. Most people want it now, and I don't blame them. Waiting for a video game sucks, but I would rather wait longer for a game than have it come out when
like Halo
it
Infinite,
was planned to and have it be garbage.
like Halo Infinite.
Yeah, of
Like I
course.
think the community like was just terrible. I can't. It disappointed they were sending death threats and shit, and they were just
Halo Infinite didn't even look that bad when
oh
they
yeah,
showed
no,
it off. It like it obviously wasn't like the best looking game, but it still looked. I think it looked all right.
good enough.
Yeah, like
They kind of forced their hand to release it, but at the same time, the
they're
problem lies in the fact that they were so open and forthright about how the things were behind the scenes. They should have bitten the bullet, taken all the shit the asshats had sent them, and just kept the game under lock and key, and not been so transparent and just not released it till it was ready.
mhm.
So I think the bigger issue falls, yeah, sure, of course, on CD Projekt Red, but I think the fact that the people were just absolute dipshits about it and just cancerous, bastards. That
Yeah.
enrages me because it ruins the experience for you. It ruins it for me. And also, these are people they're harassing and bullying.
Like
But at
these
the
are
same
people
time,
with like jobs that need this to like survive. Like
yeah. And the
shouldn't
game
harass them
is
about it.
unplayable now. It's like it. I don't even know. I haven't played it since then because I played it and I put maybe 200 hours in or so, and I enjoyed it. But it was full of a lot of shit, and it just did not run at
Yeah.
all well. And that's just really not acceptable, especially for a game you pre-order or you take time. Like I took time off from work to play it, so that's just wrong.
Yeah.
There's so many parts of it that are wrong, but I do think the majority of the blame should lie on CD Projekt Red.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting that like I kind of feel weird that like Cyberpunk was the game that everyone kind of started discussing this over
Mhm.
because we've had multiple I would even argue worse games that had like a worse
Yes.
launch than Cyberpunk 2077 because
It's
at
the
least
hype
on
that made it worse.
yeah,
The
it's
hype made it worse for Cyberpunk as opposed to other
because at
games, but
least
there are
Cyberpunk
other
could
ones, yeah.
run on PC and okay on PS5, not PS5, PS5 and Xbox Series X. But games like No Man's Sky, when they first released, they were not on they were missing like more than half the features they promised. And then it couldn't even run well on the PC. I remember
High-end
that.
PCs too.
Yeah. Like that is outrageous. That is like what? And I think that's kind of why I refuse to play to play the game anymore because I
Yeah,
don't want to
sorry.
support that. Sorry.
The Internet Historian did a really good video on
yeah.
that. Have you seen that video?
Oh yeah, we have seen that video together. We
I
all
love that
watched
video.
that. Yeah, that's a really good video.
One thing I think that changed the way this stuff works, and I heard it's not my original idea. This is something I came up with, but I came remember someone on YouTube talk about it, and I was like, that makes so much sense. But games back when you and me were little, say when Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original one, released, that game released, and that was that.
Yeah.
Everything had to be perfect. Now with all these patches and what do they call work in progress games, Scully? They were their they plan to
Early
continue.
access.
No, they plan on continuing content changes and it's
Live service.
live service. Yeah, there's so many live service games, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily a good format for games, but they do it all the time because it's almost the default. You can pump a game out in a year and a half or so, or 2 years, 3 years, however long, depending on the size of the game, and you don't have to worry about half of it because you can just say, "Hey, it's coming, don't worry," and you can pump out a pile of shit. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, Cyberpunk kind of ended up being, and just say, "Don't worry, it's coming," but people are kind of stuck with the ball. What's the
Do you
I'm
think
trying to
Warhammer?
mix some metaphors, but yeah, they're left empty-handed basically, or they're left with the bag in their hand.
Do you think Warhammer is the ultimate live service game?
I think Warhammer is literally going to be my number one
Listen.
reason I'm going to be financially crippled for the rest of my life.
Dude, honestly, same. I know people probably don't want to hear more about it, but like, I love
They
that.
do, they do.
Of course they do. Why wouldn't they be listening to us? But yeah,
The side of this is the
you know what?
side of
Screw it.
Warhammer and some sauce.
Best game of the decade for 2010 to 2019 is Warhammer. And if you disagree, you're objectively wrong, and you're gonna get burned at the stake. Okay, bye.
Yeah, fair enough. That's it.
Objectively speaking, of course.
Heretic.
One thing I do find funny about the Warhammer community is the whole joke about the Imperial mankind is very anti-alien, the Xenos, and very anti-heretic, mutant, everything. So
Mhm.
when people are introduced to the community, they're like, people go, "Oh my God, they're a newbie. They're gonna play Space Marines or some Imperial Army. Boring." And then when they play some either Chaos, which are the heretics, or the Xenos, they're like, "Oh my God, you traitor, you bastard! How could you?" So it's like, what can you choose without being burned at the stake? Either way, you're either a dirty Xeno, a filthy heretic, or a disgusting loyalist. And it's like, oh God, no matter who,
Might want to be
you
careful what you
choose.
say there. You might get canceled on Twitter if you're not if you're not careful.
That is true. That
Okay,
is true.
but yeah, I think there's this weird stigma around playing Space Marines in particular because they're kind of just the basic class. But I think it's just such a good beginner class
It
for
is.
everyone to learn, like just not even just the game itself, but just to paint for everyone to get into.
And even if you like them, I mean, they're not my favorite, but they
They
are the
look
poster
cool.
boys of Warhammer.
Yeah.
I think if I were to guess, so they're inspired. The name Space Marine comes from the Starship Troopers book, which is by far one of the best books in my opinion you
Mhm.
can read, or fun,
If
fictional
you don't
novel.
know, there's a bunch of books about Warhammer lore, and
Oh no, there's too many.
there's too many. But if you're interested, read them.
So it's based off the original book. I'm trying to see who it's by, called Starship Troopers, and it's a very great book. And I'm sorry.
Do you think if we keep talking so good about this about Warhammer, uh, they'll sponsor us?
Maybe.
Of course they would. Why wouldn't we?
It is. Let me see. I can. Oh, Robert A. Heinlein. Yeah, okay, that's who it is. Robert A. Heinlein. So that's where the Space Marine name comes from. I reckon the Space Marines were the original inspiration for the whole universe, and they might not be my favorite, but I think honestly, anyone that's hated for liking Space Marines is kind of the people that hate on it. It's kind of dumb, man.
Yeah.
It's like it's the poster boy of Warhammer. It's the starting foundation for so many people's
I think
appreciation.
yeah. I think it's like they literally designed it perfectly to be the beginner army.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people still have been playing Warhammer for 10 years, 30 years, and they still like the Space Marines, and I think that's okay too.
Yeah.
Like,
Like
enjoy what you like, man.
yeah, there's this weird stigma around people just wanting to like bully other people for like
Yeah.
liking what they like essentially. Especially in video games, I've noticed it.
It's
But
like frivolous stuff. It's not over. Sure, there's definitely stuff in real life. Oh, that person, is something big and political or religious based or morally based. Sure, but there's so much hate when it comes to little stuff like you think Minecraft's bad. I love Minecraft, but someone doesn't like Minecraft much. Like,
if you're
oh,
Minecraft,
you're
if you don't like Minecraft, you're stupid.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
continue.
Or you don't like Smash. What the hell's wrong? Come on, man. Like,
Come
it's
on.
for fun. It's entertainment. It's like
Yeah.
that's what it's for. It's for each other to enjoy.
Yeah. But I think our last question we're gonna do for tonight is by Vanessa A, and they say, I don't know, Rayman is cool though, and I wanted to say this one in particular because I have a funny history with Rayman as like a franchise. Rayman was the first proper video game I've ever played. Rayman 2 for the 3DS, The Great Escape. And I love that game, but when I first played it, I couldn't get past the second to last level because you had to get on this rocket and you had to like the controls were inversed and you had to dodge like lasers
No.
in the walls. So if you touched them, you just died instantly. And I vividly remember
Oh.
throwing my DS on my I vividly remember throwing my DS on my
Oh my god.
my bed, and I thought it snapped for like a good minute, and I was like crying because I thought it
I mean,
broke.
I don't blame you for throwing it at the wall and breaking it. I also don't blame you for crying because you broke it. Because how are you gonna? You're a kid. You can't get another one, man.
Exactly.
You're screwed.
But yeah, Rayman is such a good game. It's such a good game franchise, but like it gets screwed over by Ubisoft. But I also want to bring up this question because I just talked about how I got into like video games and my first proper video game. What was your guys' like first quote unquote proper video game that you guys like played?
I know for me, it was this game. Well, it was two games really.
Uh-huh.
It was Burnout 3.
Ooh.
I think it's Burnout 3 Takeout. Whatever. It's a burnt game. I played that a bit, but truly, what the first two games were. So for Christmas, when I was 3 years old, quote unquote, Santa Claus left a package when we went to take the Christmas lights down. There was a box on the roof, and it was the Xbox original. It was this Finding Nemo god awful game where they broke the fourth wall. Marlin the fish would tell you, "Don't forget Nemo, hit the action button to do whatever," and I'd be like, it just bothered me to no end. I played a bit of Burnout, but my uncle gave us two games. One was Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, which is kind of like a third-person smash fighter, whatever, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Those two games, I have invested probably more time there probably than in all my schoolwork in my entire life.
Honestly, I think if you added up how much time, I think even individually for all of us on this podcast right
Mhm.
now, if you added up the time that we've done schoolwork and we've done video games, it's not even a contest which one we've done more. It's obviously video games.
And I mean, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what about you, Scully and Gabe? What was your guys' like first proper video game?
I think for me, it's just super weird to think. Because I want to say the first thing I ever got was a Game Boy. So I think the first set of games I ever would have played would have been like Pac-Man and Galaga.
Oh yeah, classic.
Dude, I actually
Oh yeah,
funny thing
and
about
like
that, I have a Galaga
first-
arcade machine in my room right now. So good.
Is it a full-sized one?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a
Dude.
full-sized one.
Where did
Sorta.
you get that?
I got those like the ones that if you walk into Walmart and you look at the arcades, they like if
Mhm.
you go in the electronics section, they actually have like arcades that you can buy. and they're
Oh
like,
my
I
god.
I want the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like one that they have. It's the one where you
Oh,
like you can play as all
yes.
the Ninja Turtles and it's like it's basically like Streets of Rage, and you just like
Yeah,
beat 'em up game. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a
And
fun game.
fun fact, the first PC game I ever played was Minecraft. Like
Classic.
when it first came out,
Dude, classic
Minecraft,
Minecraft hits different.
dude. Dude.
Like like first edition Minecraft. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that right
Also,
now. That is so weird to think how far we've come.
it, dude, for real.
But
And I'm pretty sure
yeah.
you just convinced Johnny to go to Walmart and buy a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arcade cabinet.
Dude, let's do it.
The Force.
We all invest in one house just so we can put arcade machines on it.
Just back to back, yeah.
It will be called The Boys, but with a DA. But what about you, Scully? What was your first proper video game, you would say?
Payday 2 PC version.
You know what? I'll take it.
I think that's a bit of a fib.
I think someone's acting a little, as the kids would say,
Sussy.
sussy. But yeah,
Among Us.
Among Us.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Are you the imposter?
we just ruined the entire take on this podcast here. Like, it's just scrap it all, throw it away.
Throw it away.
The audio is
We
ruined.
can't have Among Us reference. Isn't that weird to think about how Among Us came out in like 2018, I think it was, and now it's only popular now?
That's what I'm. That's why I said
Yeah.
it should be game of the year or game of the
Game-
decade for sure.
Yeah,
It's
obviously.
definitely I don't like the community around it, but damn, do I love the god awful memes. They are so great.
Dude, the memes have like they took in like this turn, and I don't even know how to explain it.
They were so bad
They
they,
were
became amazing.
they like you first had the memes and everyone found them funny, and then they were bad, and then they were really bad, and then they became so bad that they became so good. And I
Yeah, I
don't
love
know
it.
how to explain it other than that.
It's so bad it's good, and it's beautiful. It's perfect in every way.
I know. And the game is actually fun. Like genuinely I like playing that game with friends. Like it's a fun game to play with friends. I think it kind of loses value if you don't play with like a group of friends. Like if you just play like with random people online, I think it kind of loses value. But not
Yeah, I
but not
totally
so
agree.
much where it's like, oh, I never want to play this game again. But like, yeah, it is definitely like the prime experience to like play with like a group of friends and just kind of have fun and goof off. Yeah.
So before, since you said I agree, it's getting kind of late.
Yeah.
Before we wrap this up,
Yeah, before
what would
we
you each say would be the game of the decade?
Okay, yeah, before we wrap this up, let's say our games of the decade. Just it doesn't even have to be well thought out. Just like the first game that comes to your head. I'll go last. Let's see, Scully. What's your game of the decade? Because I think I already know what it is.
Yeah, I don't even think I need to answer.
All right, I think everybody knows what it is. All right, Gabe, what is your game of the decade?
Game of the decade would be Titanfall 2.
All right,
My man.
All right, Johnny, how about you?
I'm gonna have to say it honestly. The more I think about it, quite frankly, it might actually be. I would have to put it up close to Bioshock if not tied. But so game of the decade would be Doom 2016. I love that game. Doom Eternal's better in my opinion, but that was
Yeah,
a little later. So
yeah.
Doom 2016 hands down to me.
I don't know if there can be a best game of this decade that isn't Doom Eternal so far.
There can't be physically.
Impossible. But I'm gonna go with my gut reaction, and I'm gonna say the game of the decade.
Sonic.
No, because it right now it's either Spider-Man PS4 or it's Pokemon White 2. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm gonna say it's Pokemon White 2. That's my game of the decade. That's such a fun game, such an addictive game too. But
Is
yeah,
it on Switch?
it's on the DS, the original
Oh,
DS.
lame. I was
It
gonna say
came,
I could try
it
it
came out in
sometime, but I
it
don't
came
have
out
one.
in 2013. I hope they make like
Okay.
a mass, because Pokemon games aren't that difficult hardware. Like you could play it on your phone. All of them.
That is my one not my one. There's plenty of things I don't like about Nintendo, but one of the things I wish they would do is
I
more
mean,
ways to play
no,
their old stuff.
Nintendo. I don't play the games on my phone. I swear.
No, I'm not pirating your games.
Make them. I wish they would like take like all the Pokemon games and kind of like bundle them up even that, or like put them by like generations and bundle them up and like have it for the Switch. That'd be so neat.
They really need to do that in general for their
Yeah.
games, like kind of have a backlog like
Yeah.
PlayStation and
That's
freaking
like, it's so
Xbox.
weird that they don't want the free money.
Yeah, I know they don't have to do any work besides convert it. Like, yeah, that does take work and effort, and
Like, it
whatever.
doesn't
But
take
like,
as much effort as creating like a brand new game from the ground up.
yeah, just make a little bad emulator that runs on your Switch, some god awful software that literally takes one bit of memory, and just run Galaga or whatever, and people would eat that shit up, man.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. So I think this episode has been pretty good for. Yeah, I think this episode is pretty good. So I think
I
we're gonna
agree.
call it a wrap there. So I'm gonna thank both, not both, all of Scully, Johnny, and Gabe coming onto the podcast today, and I think we're gonna call it a wrap there. So if you guys like what you heard, please subscribe, please give it a like, comment your thoughts, and leave some questions if you guys want us to answer.